Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Constance. Hello. If you're not, hello again. How are you doing? Today we're going to do a part one of what I've read in January. So far, I have read 10 books. And I would like to read another 10 books before the month is over, because if you don't know, my reading goal for the year of 2022 is 200 books. So now I haven't done the math on what I have to read every month to get to that. I just know I kind of would like to read 20 books this month. So I figured we would separate this into two parts because it just makes sense. How about that? It just makes sense. So let's do part one of what I've been reading in January. One of the first books that I actually picked up for this month was Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I rated this 4 stars and really a 4-star rating. I ended up really enjoying it. This was a book and a series, because this is a trilogy, that has been on my shelf for quite some time. And I knew last year that I really needed to start it because I have way too many fantasy books like that are on my to be read list that I have not picked up, and that's not good. I need to get better about that. So here we have Furyborn. So this is a dual perspective fantasy. We're following Riel and Eliana. These are two women that are a century basically apart, but in the same land. Riel is in this land during a time where there is a lot of magic. Some people can harness certain elements to their advantage. So the prince, who will be the future king, is a light bringer. I think that's what his is called. I can't remember exactly. But like he can deal with light, and there's some people who can manipulate like the earth and water and air on the Avatar shit. But Riel is different. She's always known that she could harness several elements, but no one else has known. It's been kept a secret. And during her POV, we realize why. The second POV, Eliana, again, a century in the future, she also has a special power that cannot be explained. She keeps it a secret. Only her mother and her brother know about it. And she is working as an assassin for the king at this time. Now, at this point, a century later, there is no magic, okay? Even though there's something very off or interesting about her that would, be magical, there is no magic just like running rampant within the kingdom. So, in Riel's POV, we're following her when it's discovered the multiple powers she has and how that's going to affect the kingdom. And the interesting part about this book is it starts off kind of at the end of what happens to Riel. So we already know what's going to happen to her, but we don't know what led up to it. And that's what we see in this first book. And then with Eliana, it's very similar. And well, you don't see what happens at the end for her, but you are following her time as she's working for the kingdom. And part of what she does for the kingdom is kill the people who are trying to revolt against the kingdom, right? And she somehow could get swept up in the revolution and discover some other things in the process. So with that being said, I actually really liked it. Did not like Eliana's character, okay? She pissed me off so much. If you've read it, I hope that you agree, because she really drove me crazy. I mean, she made so many impulsive decisions that would then fuck up everything for everybody. And I hate characters like that. So reading her parts were very frustrating. I really liked Riel. I liked Riel as a character more, but I found Eliana's story like more exciting and interesting. Either way, I definitely cannot wait to finish this series. Like I said, since this starts with the end for Riel, I'm interested to see what happens in the next book. What else we're going to see before we get to the point where we read the ending in this one. Because I'm not sure how old she was when this thing happens to her at the very beginning of the book. So that'll be interesting to discover what is going on in the series. I like it. 4 stars. Also love the cover. I didn't mention this. This whole series was a cover buy for me. I didn't even care what the story was about. The cover is what actually got me really interested in it. And I'm trying really hard in 2022 not to do that again, especially with fantasy. I'm trying not to buy an entire series of fantasy before I read one book. Luckily, I'm enjoying what I'm reading, but I'm trying to be smarter, trying to work smarter. Next, I read volume 3 of Sweat and Soap. I mentioned this before. I kind of like don't give manga ratings for some reason unless it's like the whole series, but you know, this is like a solid like 3 stars. Although I am starting to like not like certain illustrations in this. So the simple thing is these two, they work together at a soap company. He is like the creative person who gets the scents all together. He has a nose for it. And she works in like the finance department, but she is a sweaty mess. And one day he gets a whiff of her and says, "I'm liking what I'm smelling." You know what I'm saying? And it's a really cute, lighthearted series about these two kind of, when you think about it, like opening each other up. Obviously she's much more reserved and shy, and he's a little bit more extroverted. The thing that is kind of like throwing me off is they're 2 adults. They're having sex. It's obviously consensual, but sometimes the way that she's drawn her face when they're being intimate with each other makes me feel uncomfortable. I understand that she is like, you know, virginal. Is that the way you say that? Anyway, they're having sex, so she's not a virgin, but you know, she's very like, I don't know how to put it into words, but it would be like, everything seems so overwhelming to the point where it's like, I know that this is a couple written and they're enjoying themselves, but her face always looks like she's pained and that she's not enjoying it. So I don't know, the more I've read it and the more times they have those moments with each other, the more I'm like, I feel uncomfortable. But besides that, somebody who we've seen in the 2nd volume, I didn't like the fact that this particular character, who I thought just had a strictly platonic relationship with him, apparently has had feelings for him. That made me kind of bummed, like, oh man, interesting way to turn that character around. Anyway, I still want to keep reading this series, but like I said, I don't know how I feel about the way her face is drawn. Let me try to find it. Oh my goodness, she's always so like, and I get it, you know, she's self-conscious, we understand. She's a little nervous. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? I mean, they both, but it's just her face all the time looks like that. And it just looks like, oh my God, I don't know. Maybe I don't get it, but it's just something about like the way her cheeks, like she starts to blush. I know that is not natural. But sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm not liking like this reaction that she keeps having every single time they have sex. That's just me. Those are just my thoughts that I'm, you know, letting you guys know. That doesn't mean I don't like the story. I do like it. It's just something about the way it's drawn that's just like making me feel weird. There's probably nothing really to it, but that's just my opinion. So still liking Sweat and Soap. We'll probably still continue, but that's just how I feel. Next, I read the next 3 volumes in the Baroque Works arc for One Piece. So volumes 13, 14, and 15. Again, this is still really good. I'm enjoying One Piece. We're about to meet Chopper, which I'm really excited. That's my husband's favorite character. But again, I'm really glad I'm reading this because some of the battles, just like with anything, are a little bit long and drawn out. It's much easier to read it than to watch it because it just can be. So with that being said, still liking it, still enjoying it. I cried, I think, at the either 14 or 15 volume when you meet the 2 giants. I started crying. what else is new? What else is new? So yeah, liking it, enjoying it, would recommend. Next, I read Dim Sum of All Fears by Vivian Chen. I gave this 5 stars. I thought this was so good, and I know I said it after I read the first book. It is solidified. It is definitely happening. I am going to read every single book in the Noodle Shop Mystery Series. I loved this one because I really did not see this murderer coming. I didn't think it was going to be that person. So in this one, Lana, she's still working at the restaurant, but we open up with her wanting to get a new job, which we already knew from the first book. Like, she didn't intend to work with her parents, but after she had the bad breakup, you know, she was feeling down. She needed something to do. I don't remember what happened to the previous job she had, but she ends up working with her family, and she's still kind of enjoying it, but she does want to leave. Unfortunately, her parents decide that they have to go where did they go? To Shanghai, I think, to see the grandparents, the grandma. And they're like, Lana, we're going to leave you in charge of the restaurant, which she didn't want to begin with. Her sister wanted to be the one to do it, even though her sister really doesn't have the time because she's studying to be a lawyer. Don't get me started about that. So Lana's like, fuck, like, I didn't want to do this. I'm trying to get another job, but now I'm forced to be the manager of the restaurant. And we meet a new couple that is at the plaza who just opened a store, Isabel and Brandon. They're a young couple. Lana has become friends with Isabel. They have bonded over books and mystery books and stuff like that. But Lana has never really gotten a chance to know Brandon, Isabel's husband. But she doesn't really like him. He's always leaving Isabel alone to take care of the store. He won't tell her where she's going. Nobody knows his whereabouts half the time. And it doesn't really sit right with her for obvious reasons. Who's going to support that? I wouldn't. I would say leave him. And unfortunately, she and Brandon end up dead. And even though this is a little bit different, you know, Lana's not implicated in the murder this time, like the first book, she still has to investigate because it was her friend. So honestly, this one's a little bit more sad to me because it was somebody that she became friendly with. She really liked Isabel. And then she and Kimmy end up seeing their bodies. And that's not really giving anything away. It happens very early on. They end up seeing what happens, but then it looks one way, something gets changed, then they discover more things about Brandon, and it was a very interesting little mystery. I liked it. There's still the ridiculousness of Ian going on, and Donna, she still kind of like shows up a little bit, which I liked. I liked Donna as a character, and I enjoyed it, but it seems like the next book, Lana's still going to be managing the damn restaurant. But I liked it. If I didn't already say, 5 stars. I'm really, like I said, I'm really enjoying this series. I love the colors. I love the names. Cozy mysteries are really fun. If you're somebody who's never read one and you're interested, I'd say give this series a try. I really enjoy it. It's very funny. I think our main character is very likable. She has her moments where you're like, Lana, stop it. But in general, I love her and her friendship with Megan. I like Adam, the police officer. Then you have like the wild cast of characters who, like the matrons that come in and have breakfast every morning, Peter, Kimmy, blah, blah, blah. So it was really good. I would highly recommend. I read 3 graphic novels really early on in the month. Klaus was one of them. This is about like the origin story of Santa Claus. It was actually really good. I loved the art style. I loved the story. I rated it 4 stars. I think the story was really cool because, and it was also kind of sad. Like, you have this moment, and I do like situations like this where the villain, he is bad, but you also feel kind of sorry for him. His motivations are obviously wrong, but they're also kind of not terrible. Like, it's coming from a selfish place, but they're also trying to be selfless, and unfortunately, you can't have both. Selfishness will always win out, in my opinion. But you see the origin of Klaus, the town that he comes from. I really liked it. It was very interesting. and I would recommend. Next, I read Magical Beatdown. I didn't give this a rating because it was the first issue. It's very short. It's only 32 pages. Very colorful in that it's purple and green. Those are not the colors. Pink and blue, which is kind of purpley. It's like Magical Girl, but way like more hardcore. So like, because it's the first issue and it's so short, it's not like there's much of a background to give. It's just like a girl, she's being harassed, and she just murders the shit out of these guys who are harassing her. So I didn't rate it, but I mean, I guess if I had to give it a rating, 3 stars for being interesting. I would like to read more, but I don't think there's going to be much of a story. I think it's just going to be issues where maybe you're following the same main character, maybe you're not, but it's just going to be magical girls beating the shit out of men. I'll take it. And then I read The God Dilemma, and this is volume 8 of Rat Queens. So I don't know if I ever mentioned this on this channel, but I used to love Rat Queens. That first volume, I fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the art style, and the way it ended, I was just like so excited for where that story was going to go. And I ended up rating this 3 stars, but in general, I stopped buying volumes of Rat Queens probably like 3 or 4 volumes ago because there was no story anymore. It was like a bunch of little things were happening, and the main story that we followed in the beginning, like that plot is gone. Sure, some of them we got a background of like the Rat Queens, which was really interesting. I liked that. But as time has gone on, it's like there is no one story that we're following, and then the art style started to change. I don't know enough about graphic novels to like know what that is supposed to be or mean or whatever, if that's like the new thing. But I hate when I'm reading some graphic novels and they change the art, because I've grown accustomed to this one art form. So this one technically followed a plot throughout the whole thing. It was like little things are different are happening, but you are following, what's her name? Hannah? I'm pretty sure her name was Hannah. Yeah. Hannah's trying to figure out the black magic that she kind of harnessed like a few volumes ago. So we follow that one plot, but then there's some other things that are happening. The art style changed a few times, but I did like it a little bit more. I still probably will never buy the series again. I got to read all these volumes off of Hoopla for free, so it sucks. I really like Rat Queens. I would still absolutely recommend Rat Queens to people because I liked it. It was such a phenomenal first volume, and some of the, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 more volumes after that, like it was still pretty cool. But at some point you get to this point where you realize like we're not following the story anymore. So it is what it is. And lastly, I read Under the Blade by Matt Serafini. I listened to this as an audiobook and it was so good. I rated this one 5 stars. I would absolutely recommend, especially if you want to watch something, if you want to read something that's like super duper slasher horror. I mean, this got ugly, okay? So we're following our main character, Melanie. She essentially is a final girl. She was in some town where she and her friends were stalked by this murderer. He killed all of her friends, but she managed to kill him. And it's been many, many years since she's been back to this town. She's since become a teacher. A lot of people know, some people know about her story, some people don't. But after she doesn't get the opportunity to teach for like this college course that she really wanted to teach, someone ends up having to teach it for her. Someone approaches her and they're like, maybe you should write a book about your experience. I mean, people would love to, at this time, people would probably love to hear about like what happened. You should go back to that town and blah, blah, blah. So she does. And what she doesn't know, and what some of the transplants in this town don't know, is there's a very sinister situation going on within the town, okay? And I freaking loved it. It was so good. It was so freaky. and I did not expect for it to go the way that it did. If you like slasher, if you like cults, if you like, you know, a final girl type trope, you will absolutely love this one. And I would recommend listening to it as an audiobook. I thought it was great. I don't know how many people have read Clowns in a Cornfield. I liked it. I feel like I heard like mixed things. Like some people liked it, some people didn't. But I listened to it and I thought it was such a good audiobook. Could not recommend more. I freaking love that audiobook. It was so good. So, like I said, I rated this 5 stars. Definitely give it a read. I think it was worth it. And I mean, I'm glad I didn't wait till Halloween because I was just in a mood for death. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? So yes, there you have it, part 1 of what I've read so far in January. Any books that I've mentioned that you've read, I'd love to know your opinions in the comments. Any of them that I talked about that you're interested in, because I think I've read some really good books so far. Like I said, I got 10 more to go. That's my goal. I'm in the middle of reading 2 books right now. I'm gonna start another one, and let's see if I can do this. I have faith in myself because I'm not feeling like I'm gonna experience a reading slump. I feel like this train is moving. It will stop at some point. We all know, as readers, we all know there's gonna be a point where you just get into a reading slump. But as of right now, I'm liking what I'm feeling. It's feeling good. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching my video. If you like the video, please like the video. If you like it, subscribe to me, follow me. Thank you to everyone who follows and subscribes to me. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Y'all are great. So yeah, you have a good day. Goodbye.